Welcome to episode 9 of Lawyers and Libations with Sarah and Rebecca.
We're back.
Whew, what a summer.
It's hot as shit outside. It is not cool temperatures. Atlanta has been very mild so far until, 3 days ago? 4 days ago?
It is so hot. It is making me so grumpy. I just cannot shake it.
Well, we already know that I have some rage issues, so the sun and heat actually exacerbate those. So people should be thrilled that no one's been murdered yet.
Watch out, people on 285 on our way home.
Yes, or 75 or 85. Any of the side roads, too. I would consider yourself possible targets. But
well, I do think the drivers get worse the hotter that it gets. I don't know if it's the out-of-towners or, again, rage issues from onset of heat exhaustion or what, but it is crazy out there.
This is why I think that the Middle East is constantly at war, to be honest. I know that's an odd lead-in, but it's hot as balls in the Middle East. And I think that is 90% of the problem of why people can't get along.
Well, that and the women aren't allowed to do anything over there, too. So probably,
okay, the whole
cooler,
maybe no voting, owning property, no driving, that also could possibly contribute to some of their rage. But generally, just in between countries, I think it's because it's sandy. Nobody likes sand. And it's hot as balls. Those are my tidbits for the day.
I feel like outside of Russia, if you look at a world map, definitely the colder places seem to be
very
pretty
peaceful.
Chill. Yeah.
They're lovely. They just curl up in front of a fireplace on a bare blanket.
Yep.
Yeah, that doesn't sound too bad. Atlanta, not so much right now, nor is Sarasota, Florida, where I went for a soccer tournament for Adeline a little while ago. Turns out it's hotter than the surface of the sun at about 105 degrees in the middle of June.
How do you even stay cool in such a soccer tournament weather?
Well, God smiled on us every once in a while and would dump torrential rain on you for a good 15 to 20 minutes, and the sun would come out, and then it would turn into a steam room. But there's lots of cool towels. I've got some of those spray misting bottles. One of the parents played football professionally that's new on our team, and he and his wife brought these buckets with fans that go in it. I know, but granted,
do they spray the mist type
they
fans?
do. They mist the whole time. But that was actually only for the girls, not us. So the parents were very hot most of the time. It was kind of horrendously miserable. So I do not recommend heading to Florida in the summer.
No. It's crazy people, alligators, and it is so hot.
Florida man, which is everywhere. Yeah. So that's terrible. I would recommend leaving the hot areas of the country and heading north. That's my
And you
tip.
actually just got back from an up north trip, I do believe.
I did. I flew directly from Sarasota to Maine. I was in Bar Harbor and Camden, and it was a high of 70, maybe 68. It was lovely, and a low of 50. It was very chilly.
That's why, we vacation in Wisconsin in the summertime. And while I am definitely a beach girl and I've had a hard time adjusting to this Midwestern lake life, it's amazing because it's same thing, high of 77, maybe 80. And it's 45 at night, so you can wear a sweatsuit.
It's so nice. I will tell you a really funny story, though, that happened up there. The car that they gave me, you're in Maine, and I pull into the airport, and I'm like, hey, I need my rental car. And they go, okay, well, we're all out of, the car size that you reserved. I go, fine. And they go, would you like a Mustang? And I was like, Mustang? Okay. Fuck yeah, I'll take a Mustang. Let's do this. This sounds good. I got to drive 3 hours from Portland up to Bar Harbor. Bright candy apple red Mustang.
Convertible?
It was not convertible, sadly enough. But I'm really sensitive to car noises and stuff. I don't like loud car noise, the people that put the things in their mufflers. I hate those people. So I had to keep the RPMs at 1.5 while I'm driving because Maine is just not the place that you want to be parading around in a really loud Mustang, right? I mean, people are pretty happy, pretty hippie-ish. Everybody is really kind and lovely and not driving around in bright ass red Mustang. So I got to do that with my daughter. She actually asked my mom if they could pretend I was their Uber driver because they're assholes. So,
oh my God. So speaking of Mustangs, this will make you die laughing. My college boyfriend, the guy I dated for 3 out of the 4 years that I thought was
the football player?
Yeah, I thought he was going to be a professional NFL player. He's not, and clearly I'm now a lawyer. But he drove a black Mustang 5.0, like the last one that had like the box style.
Oh, yeah. Did it have a spoiler?
Well, it had Flowmaster and black tinted windows, and it was a 5-speed. My dad was like, seriously, Rebecca, you could hear him.
Make better choices.
Oh, God, you could hear him cruising like
Ew.
8 blocks away. I mean, I know. My dad was so annoyed.
And what part of that, though, were you like, God, that guy's got to be mine?
Like, it seems like definitely fit his vibe.
We were younger then, not as intelligent.
Yeah, and again, I was going to be an NFL wife. So, like, I was like, okay, I think maybe I like Mustang 5.0.
These are sexy cars. Which I'm not saying they're not sexy cars. It's just I'm not driving one.
They're just loud, particularly if they have Flowmaster added on.
Ew. Yeah, no, I want nothing to do with that. So that was Maine, but it is beautiful and nice, cool temperatures. And we boiled our own lobsters. I fled the kitchen because I'm a complete wuss and had heard that lobsters scream.
Oh, they cry.
Do they, though? I don't know. I left.
Crabs
I couldn't handle it.
It may just be the sizzling, but that's why I love blue crabs, but I hate seeing them when they're alive and they're like, "Rah."
Yeah, no. I was in the sink petting them.
Before you ate them?
I'm a psychopath. And my brother goes, do not ruin this for my daughter because she's 5. I was like, for fuck's sake, man, I'm trying to give them a little bit of love and affection before they are boiled to death on the stove.
While you were gone last week, one of our girlfriends and I took our children to an Asian restaurant off of Buford Highway, and same thing, they have a giant tank of lobsters, and Hunter was like, I want lobster. So we order the salt and pepper lobster, and we see the lady go and grab it out of the tank. And our girlfriend is mortified. She's like, we're not about to eat that lobster, are we? And 4 minutes later,
here it is.
There he was, tempura fried.
He was delicious. So I knew it was absolutely
just died.
Delicious. Yeah, they are very fresh, and it is kind of heartbreaking, but they are tasty. So I had lobster pretty much at every meal while I was up there. So yes, tips to stay cool in Maine or in Atlanta during the summer is leave. Immediately. Yeah, just fucking get out of here because it's too hot. Anywhere in the mountains is good, higher elevation. Maine, solid referral to head up there.
Hide inside in the air conditioning.
Yeah. Cool towels. So what about like favorite cold drinks in Atlanta for our libation side? Like best, say, frozen drinks.
I mean, my obvious go-to at all times is the Yabo frozen espresso martini. You just can't have more than 2 or 3.
Or you'll barf on the floor at lunch like that poor lady did. Yeah, don't drink more than, I would say 1. But maybe 2 if you're feeling
Depending
adventurous.
On your
just
tolerance.
Don't mix it with a bunch of other stuff. God, that is a damn delicious drink.
So good.
It's so good. The Frosé at Yepa.
Ooh, I need to try that.
Yeah, it's delicious. They've got it on tap. It's just frozen rosé. It's really good.
Yum.
They put like a little rosemary sprig in it.
Ooh.
It's so good. Yeah.
You know who else has really good ones that's kind of sneaky is I love Grindhouse Burgers, and they've got a whole menu of like boozy milkshakes.
I've had one of those.
So good. Better for
really
late in the day. You don't want that at lunchtime.
No.
Like, that would be a complete disaster.
So my mom, when I was younger, used to make these desserts for dinner parties where she would do Kahlua and coffee ice cream and a little bit of milk. She'd put it in the blender, and then she'd put them in little pretty like ice glasses and put them in the freezer. And I used to sneak them all the time when I was little.
I might copy that.
Yeah,
I love that idea.
It was really delicious. She'd have it for dinner parties, and I'd be like, I'll take 3 of those. I know.
You know what else is sneaky good is an orange crush or orange freeze at the Varsity. It's not boozy, but
it's delicious. It's like an orange. It's like an orange creamsicle.
Like the orange sickle. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
those are so good. Just be near a bathroom because you know that Varsity food is.
God, I love the Varsity. I mean, I don't know if it'd be quite as dangerous as the Asian place on Buford Highway that you killed your own lobster at, but yeah, it could be tricky for sure. I did try a new drink though, when I was in Maine, speaking of, and I'll put it up, it was a blueberry lemon mule or something. And it had like...
Oh, you texted me the menu.
It was really delicious. So they had like some lemon and some ginger beer and I think vodka and blueberry. Yeah, it was really delicious. Took a picture of it, so I think we can post that on our thing and see. Yeah, I don't know what the measurements are, but I just say pour a little here and a little there, and you'll have it. It was good though.
Last time Pepper was here, we were talking about like women our age and how to be healthier and all of that stuff. So I met a new personal trainer on Saturday night at a party that we both attended, and so I was like in his ear. I was like, I know I need to drink less and cut out my carbs. And so I was like, I'm going to ask you a trick question. I'm sure there's not a good answer. I was like, is it better for me to binge drink and just have one really big night out when I drink alcohol and then not drink all week, or to drink all week?
Did he say, do you throw it up when you get home? Because, I mean, if he asked that question, then he might be onto something.
He did say, he goes, it's better to binge. He goes, I mean, obviously don't tell anybody I said that, but I'm not sharing his name. But he was like, binge drink.
I was going to ask who it was, yeah.
Right. I'll tell you after the pod.
Okay.
But he said, but then during the week when you're not drinking, your body will burn other fats other than alcohol. So he was like, it's probably better just to have one really big night and then
okay, that
chill.
makes sense.
So I'm trying to abide by that. Tonight's going to be my big night.
Yes, girl. I can't wait. We'll make sure we safe ride home 100%.
Or walk-ish.
Well, yeah, you do live right around the corner from kind of the places we are going. Watch those Hal's drinks. They'll get you every time. And that party, actually, that we were at, the guy had his own frosé fucking machine.
It had the
at his
margarita
house.
and frosé on the one side. The frosé was
Did he rent
unbelievable.
it or buy it?
He owns it. So I'm like, should we have one of those?
Like at the office? I don't know. That's
not
a good
that we need to be
decision.
drinking frozen drinks at the office.
That's a bad. That will not help our summer beach bodies.
No, but what if we had one that we took with us, like if we were on trips and we have like a house for conferences and stuff, and we were the house that we'd have like waivers that people had to sign to make sure they didn't do stupid stuff. But what if we had a frozen drink machine?
What if by the time that they already come over, they're already drunk, so they don't have the capacity to actually know what they're signing?
Well, then we'll just videotape everything so we can be like, look, they were drunk when they showed up.
They were fine, not our problem.
Yeah, not our fault.
They killed this family.
Maybe,
of 4
I don't know.
Terrible people.
We'll get some witnesses to testify against them.
We can investigate. I could do that. But that was shocking that he had his own at the house. That was a little bizarre, but couldn't appreciate it more, actually.
It was delicious.
Well done.
Mm-hmm.
In the news, since we last recorded, tragedy struck the sub that was going down to see the Titanic ruins. Jesus Christ.
That was crazy. You knew there as soon as they were like lost connection and then you saw the Nintendo Switch controller, I was like, no,
that's not good. That's not going to go good. I was very concerned about it, and I was like, 96 hours. Okay, start the clock. So I was actually still in Maine when it was running out, and I was kind of following the news.
So kind of near you guys. I mean,
it is. It's like off like coast. Newfoundland. That's why I pulled up a map to see how far away it was, which is, I guess, probably near like a little bit further out than the perfect storm and all of that. I'm not amazing at geography, but somewhere out in that general vicinity. But yeah, those poor people, that sucks, you know?
Well, and it's interesting kind of like from a cultural standpoint as, this, sinking submarine gets all of this attention, right? Like everybody's obsessed with it. Meanwhile, you've got, hundreds of immigrants dying, on other
rafts.
boats. Yeah. And nobody, and like now it just makes like a little blip on like the
they're
news
like
screen.
another immigrant boat or refugee boat raft sinks with 300 people dead.
Yeah. Do you think it's like the sexy nature of like rich people doing crazy stuff?
I mean, I do think that that's probably part of it. I do also think that a lot of us are probably still quite obsessed with the Titanic. We grew up hearing about it. So, and
the great movie came out when we were in our early 20s.
They both could have fit on that fucking door for sure.
Definitely.
Yeah, Rose just let Jack die.
I would have definitely let Jack live.
Yeah, I would have been like, climb up here, buddy.
So cute.
So I think there's, a lot of interest, obviously, surrounding the Titanic and the kind of gruesome story behind it. I was actually this year during the time when the Titanic sank, they had a whole thing on Facebook that was showing like all of these different news posts about like on this night at this time and this night at this time and then this night at this time of what different families were doing and stuff on the boat, who made it, who didn't. It was like a whole thing about the Titanic. And the things you don't actually hear about are like, good grief, the body recovery, because, right, like it's not like you've got a bunch of white tipped sharks like feeding on people that are in the water. Like it's cold as shit water. So everybody just kind of died and had on their life vests and hung out there and just floating in the water. And so they had a whole bunch of recovery boats that came and like one embalmer on the ship, like to do all of the embalming of like, I don't know, like 1,000 people. It was absurd. Anyway, so things that we didn't really think about whenever you know, either watch the movie or see the, things about the Titanic. But so I think maybe part of it has to do with the fact that there's so much, fascination with the Titanic and actually what happened. Also, it's, people probably just don't relate to poor refugees, to be honest with you, which is fucking horrendous because everybody's a person. So, I think, but that's probably why, and it is absolutely absurd. But
it's no different than, I'm always obsessed with, and I still want to climb Everest, but I feel like it's turned into such like this out of shape.
No,
I know,
ma'am.
It's like the weirdest thing I want to do. And I've read all of the books about all the different teams that have died, but it's also like
Into
a crazy.
Thin Air by John Krakauer.
So good. One of the best books. The Climb is the book written by the other team. Have you read it? That refutes kind of what happened. Highly recommend. I'd read it this summer.
So
I read them back to back.
But so I read Into Thin Air a long time ago when I used to do a lot of rock climbing. I had a boyfriend at the time that wanted to climb all the top 7 peaks, right, on all the continents. And so he really wanted to do Everest. And I read and I was like, I could probably do Everest. That could be like a good idea. This could be like a great fun couples thing. And then I read that, and I swear to God, every page has a paragraph where it's like, I'm gasping for air. I can't breathe. I'm like, why in the fuck are you people putting yourselves through this?
It's insane.
And here you are. You're like, I think I want to do it. I'm like, nope. I'm good.
But then when you read Into Thin Air, The Climb, and then all of these like journalist reports, I mean, there's just like dead bodies everywhere because it's cold and like they can't bring you back down to like you're climbing and like you might pass your dead friend, but you just paid
keep
$1 million
trucking,
to
guys.
climb Everest. So you're just like, it's fine. I got to get to the top.
I heard about some asshole woman that had a Sherpa rescue her for $10,000 because that's the flat fee to be rescued off of Everest if you get up there and you realize you can't get down. And she refused to pay it.
What a bitch.
What a bitch. Exactly. So some other...
And those Sherpas are like the nicest guys ever,
people in the entire world. And so they actually, some other people on her team, her climbing team, paid it. But what a self-righteous asshole.
Yeah. Let's find out her name and not be her friend.
I support that 100%.
All right, so I'll keep you posted. I'm definitely going to climb Everest. I just don't know when. I should probably do it sooner rather than later.
If you want to do that. I mean, if we can have like a little Bluetooth earpiece thing so I can hear you be like,
I could report
it did
live.
suck as badly as you said it was going to, Sarah. That would be great confirmation for me of why I did not do it.
I can call into Lawyers and Libations every 2 weeks as I'm on my 6-month journey to the top.
Well, I mean, it's also, it takes you a fucking week to get to base camp or 10 days to get to base camp. You've got to keep,
it's insane.
But just to get to the very bottom from like the nearest town, it's like a fucking week hike. At that point, I'd be like, day one to that, I'd be like, I feel like I'm done. This was probably a mistake.
Well, I'm going to order you The Climb to read.
I would love that. I would love that. But, yeah, so that's some adventuresome, crazy shit. So our friend that we have today on the show, his name is Armand Deganian, and he is a partner at Littner and Deganian here in Atlanta that specializes in personal injury work. He travels more than I do, and
yeah, speaking of adventurer,
he has like hiked the Grand Canyon rim to rim. He's gone and like flew in to hike around with the grizzly bears in Alaska. He's done the volcano climbing in fucking Iceland. So he's insane. But one of our dearest and best friends, and so we are having him come on in just a few minutes. He is working on his summer beach body, so he will be bringing some of us favorite NA beverages, which I'm excited to try. Because we're all trying to fucking, I don't know, find my abs somewhere this summer would be helpful.
I had 2 pop out.
Yes!
I'm trying to get at least 2 more before
You're
vacation.
Like, are you guys in there?
I'm going to run out of time, I think.
I doubt it. You're going to kill it. Something that we don't normally do on Lawyers and Libations, but I literally could not love more is him bringing us some NA beverages. So I will be trying that because I don't know what a lot of those taste like. So I'm in for it. So Perfect. In just a few minutes, we'll have Armand join us. Welcome back. We have brought in our good friend Armand. Armand, welcome to the show.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
Am I looking at the camera or am I looking at you?
You can look
Either.
at us. Either one. I mean, you
Just
can't.
natural.
Yeah,
it feels
matter.
weird at first.
Well, I just always look at her. It's
Okay,
fine. It's
I'll just look at both.
Yes. So what'd you bring us today? So we're doing some non-alcoholic stuff.
We are. So I'm still experimenting with the non-alcoholics that I have kind of been recommended or friends have told me about.
Uh-huh.
This one is Untitled Art, which I just learned from Rebecca that they do real beer. But
They do.
I didn't know that.
Delicious real beer. High calories, so not for summer bodies.
These are high calories also. They're 100 calories. So
Okay,
it's not
that's
that
not
bad.
terrible.
Not high calorie. That's
But-
great.
Well, most NAs are like 40 or 50.
Yeah, they're lower. Yeah.
So they're really low.
That's nice.
So this one, there's a new store on North Highland that does strictly, it's called Zero, I think it's Zero Company, but it's all just non-alcoholic beer, wine, liquor. They do tequila, they do everything. So it's kind of like a new market, and, and it's a really smart one because I didn't know you could even have a freestanding store that does just non-alcoholic. But what I did is I just put together like a variety pack, so you can buy it by singles and then pop them into the little thing. So
have you tried non-alcoholic tequila?
I have not.
I haven't either.
I've tried the wine, and it was actually good because what they do is they make it and then they like filter out the alcohol.
So it tastes very similar.
Tastes very similar. Yeah.
So do they have the what is it? Adaptogens. Do you know what I'm talking about? Like the Hi-Yo stuff. That's the new like NA market of drinks that I don't know, that has supposed to, like if you have one, you'll like feel a little more relaxed. 2,
I keep seeing it on my Instagram.
I
feed.
ordered a bunch, but I haven't drank them yet. They're just sitting in my
We should try
refrigerator,
that one
like,
night and see how we feel afterward.
We should. Have you heard of these?
I know.
Okay, well they're supposed to give you a very relaxed, floaty
know that.
feeling, but no alcohol.
Is it like a non-alcoholic? Is it entitled a beer or is it a?
Nope, just a drink.
Oh, I'll have to check that out.
Non-alcoholic
I don't know.
drink. It's probably like, seltzery or something, but it's got adaptogens. I think you're
right.
I don't know, but that sounds right.
Yeah,
Anyway,
it's on
so
my
it's
feed
like
all the time.
somebody's cornering the market on it. And I think that's probably because a lot of people our age would still like to socially continue to engage in enjoying a beverage, but not necessarily want alcohol all the time.
That's for me, I think it's like a hand thing. Like when I'm doing something social, I just have this innate desire to like have a can in my hand or a glass, but I don't want a Diet Coke or I don't want like a soda or a soft drink. So having that, like when I go camping, I camp a lot, and that was always when we used to drink beer.
Oh, I love a good Coors Light when I'm camping.
Oh yeah,
Lots of
always
beer.
trash beer.
Oh, yeah.
That was my favorite.
It is trash
so,
beer. Yeah.
But that's
Watery down
It's not
domestic
fancy.
beer. We love them.
Yep, and that's my friends all drink while we go, and it's just I've just decided not to. But when I go and I just throw a couple in there and I grab them, and honestly, I think a lot of it is probably the same for a lot of people, but it took me a while to figure it out. It's just a lot of it is just that like want to be part of. It's like FOMO. You want to participate. So if you don't have anything, you just feel like. It's kind of weird. Like, are people going to ask me why I'm not, or do I have to like bring it up first?
Right.
Everybody's grabbing a beer and I'm not. But if I can grab one, it just nobody asks any questions.
Right.
We have a few different friends who drink, who are no longer drinking, and I mean, I think once you get to a certain age, your body has just kind of had enough at some point in time. If you've gone hard in your youth, your body's like, we reached our max. Thanks for coming out.
That's why I get pregnant. I always find that like
The break.
it is because normally it's
why
like
I get
18 months
pregnant.
of like not drinking. In the first few months, I'm always like, this is so awkward not to be drinking at parties. So I'm always with a soda. But once I'm used to it and I'm watching everybody else act like idiots and I'm sober, I'm like, this is hysterical. I should do this more often.
I used to think when I would empathize with my friends who were drunk. I mean, who were pregnant, because I would think, how do they do it? Not the not drinking, because the habit, like, not the habit of doing it, just everything's social around it. So I just thought, you must just have to like hide in your house while you're pregnant.
No.
I know that's not true.
You go and you watch and you make fun of all of your friends act like complete asshats.
Yes.
Now you do that on a regular basis, especially with our friend group.
You notice it more. Yes.
Yes, you do. Some slight slurring of the speech, some
a little bit of, I've heard this joke before.
Yes.
Miscalculating decisions that have been done.
Let's try some of
what do you
these.
got?
I'm excited.
Hand over one. What are your types?
So there's a citrus, and I've had only a couple of these, but this is a citrus session.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then
We don't have any germs if y'all just want to pass them around. Is that
why
weird?
don't you do that?
No, I
Okay.
don't care.
So that one's just kind of backwash.
What if
I mean,
wanted to
Sarah
drink
and I,
the whole
Open
thing?
one more.
if Sarah has something, I have something. At this
I mean,
point in time,
that's 100% true. We're together a lot. We were part of our little COVID community. I was like, well, if one of us is going to get it, the other one's screwed, I guess.
That's a Berliner.
Yeah, I'm gonna get one.
That's
Which one's shy?
A Weiss.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. These are a little more fruity and kind of, like you
Fruit
said,
forward.
like a little heavier for like a NA, because most of them, like Budweiser has one. They're very, very light.
Very light.
Oh, this is good. It's
Yeah.
only 60 calories.
Oh, that's better. This one I had 100, the lychee sherbet. That's the one.
2 grams of protein.
Oh, there
This
you go.
has 70 calories.
Yeah, I'll come out
Okay,
here in better
see?
shape than I walked in.
Look at that.
I would drink this.
You're losing weight by the minute.
When Ryan and I are also trying to work on our summer bodies, we started getting some non-alcoholic beers for during the week, because same thing, like you get home from work and you're like, I want a beer when I'm cooking. So we'll add this to ours, because there are a couple of is it Creature Comfort? Who's the Atlanta? No, one of the Atlanta groups has a bunch of really good like non-alcoholic
Oh, really?
IPAs.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I'll send
Terrapin,
you.
Maybe? No.
Nope. Gosh,
never
what is
seen it.
I'll send you.
Yeah,
they're
please do.
super good, because even at Greens, there's a whole aisle of non-alcoholic beers. And so we were,
sweating.
particularly last summer, we haven't been that good this summer, but last summer we were much better about trying to limit.
Brooklyn Brewery has a variety pack, like a case that you can get. The best place, the Toco Hills liquor store, do you know the one in there? They have the largest variety that I've ever seen. It's like a whole.
This one's
Oh, I like
delicious
that.
too. Ryan would like that one. I
like this one. Okay, good. We'll switch. That one's heavier than me. I'm a complete wuss when it comes to beers. I'm like, Bud Select 55,
Yeah, me
please.
I feel
Thank you.
refreshed. I could even go work out again after this.
I know. Go do it, girl. So, Arma,
Yeah.
you travel more than I do. Legitimately, you actually
Debatable.
do. Yeah, I mean, I've seen all the places you travel. So, what are some of the most exotic places you have traveled?
So I've probably the most, it's been a while, but my dad's from Iran and I've been there. So I spent a month there in 2000, so right before 9/11. Don't know. I still have a passport because I have.
Has it been suspended?
Has not. Well, I don't know. Or I haven't
case
gotten
one
it. I haven't
does, you
gotten
gotta
news.
back
Is it going to be after this show? I'm just curious.
Well, I'm a citizen through my paternal side, through my dad, that Iran recognizes, but the U.S. does not. So
So you have 2 passports?
yeah.
So you're a dual citizen as far as Iran is concerned.
Yeah.
So what if your mother was Iranian but not your father? Would it pass down through there or no?
I think it's just paternal.
See.
Yeah. Different culture.
Well, we were talking about that too earlier. We were talking about why everyone is generally angry in the Middle East because it's hot.
It is very
There's
hot.
a lot of sand. Nobody likes
Yeah.
sand.
It's just like
But then Rebecca brought up also the fact that women can't own property or vote or drive or any of those things. Really put a damper on.
Just need some
the
women
joy.
in leadership. I
Yeah.
just think that we bring a nice
Yeah.
calming presence sometimes.
We do. We actually are probably would be pretty good at stopping wars. So Iran, where else?
Next most, I know it's not super exotic, but I did Peru, and Peru we hiked. Jessica, my girlfriend, and I, we hiked the Salcantay Trek, which was outside of Cusco, and it takes you to Machu Picchu. So that was pretty exotic in the sense that it was pretty remote and it was over COVID too. So there was like literally nobody on the trail.
Oh, that's a good time to do it.
You're constantly dragging Jessica
Dragging
on
her everywhere.
hiking.
So yes, and
She's not a huge like lover of hiking,
No.
is she? I didn't think so. Okay.
she's athletically she's fine doing it. She doesn't like the
Oh, I see her.
sleeping in huts and tents.
She's a yoga
Yeah,
champ. Yeah,
yeah.
she's very, very fit.
So speaking of that, of her not loving the hiking part, so I made her hike the Grand Canyon with me from rim to rim with my brother David, and then so we've come up with an agreement. So anytime I make her do a strenuous vacation, she said
It's a spa vacation.
well, of her choice. So she's not a big like city. I mean, she's been all over the world. She's been to every continent. I haven't caught up with her yet, but I'm going to Africa Thursday, and we are flying. We're going to South Africa, but then we're going to Namibia and Botswana.
Uh-huh.
And she chose these luxury safari
that'll
huts
be
in the middle
amazing.
of nowhere that I gave her. I was like, you pick. As long
You-
as you
you
suffer
do
through
it.
this one,
Yeah.
you pick. And it's not like I'm suffering through Botswana and Namibia.
No.
But
So
It's
how
going to be terrible for you. I
long?
feel
Yeah.
terrible.
I'm assuming y'all probably doing like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I feel like you have to have an extended.
yeah.
Are you going to
staying for
the
that.
crater?
No, we're doing in South Africa. We're doing Cape Town for 2-3 days, and we're just going to kind of see Cape of Good Hope and Table Mountain, Lion's Head, and then going to Namibia, and we're staying in the Namib Desert. I've been educated on all this because I have never been to Africa, but there's a prehistoric desert there, like a petrified forest, the Namib Desert, and a specific area, Susaveli. I'm sure I'm butchering that, but we're staying like right in the desert at this like 10 huts, but it's all inclusive. So I'm assuming it's going to be
Is there air conditioning? Oh, wait, it's winter there.
winter. Yeah, so it's like 40 low, 70 high. So it's
That'll be
perfect.
Okay, our
Perfect.
next tip
Yeah.
on how to stay cool in the
At,
land in the
Southern
summer:
Hemisphere.
leave
Go to
and
Africa.
go to Africa. Who never thought that'd come out of my
Yeah.
mouth?
Are you going to swim with any great whites while you're down there?
So she did that. She's been to Africa twice. She did it 10 years ago, and the problem with swimming with the great whites is not just the great whites.
Is I'm like the great whites trying
The
to eat you
orcas,
out
or
of your
is
thing.
that where the killer orcas are down there too that are eating all the sharks? Yeah.
Everything will eat you down there. I don't want to get
They're
in the
eating
water.
great white sharks.
They suck out their livers.
They hunt 'em.
They hunt them just for their liver.
The orcas are killers, and they
What?
hunt pods.
I mean, I know that they
Crazy.
hunt in pods. I know that, but
They're
are
hunting
they
boats now.
attacking? Are they attacking great white sharks?
Yeah.
Yes, just for their organs.
Delicatessen.
It is crazy.
Yeah, they're
Jesus
the.
Christ.
I would
the
rather
worst.
see. Well, not in the water, but
Is this like the Orcas Unite thing that I keep seeing, like
they're
on,
they're killing boats now.
like
you see
literally
they're-
killing
yeah.
yourself?
They may be smarter than us.
Okay,
so I
hold
think
on.
that
Tell
they're
me the
just
story because I was trying to figure out what this Orcas Unite thing is, and I put it up. And like Urban Dictionary spit out something that I was like, that's not what they're talking about. So what is
Do
it?
you go to Urban Dictionary?
I had to because Orcas Unite did not show anything,
So
so
I-
I was like, maybe it's a
like-
cool kids thing. I don't know.
So I assume it's what you're talking about is recently there's been like in the last 6 months or year there's been a number of reports of orcas purposefully like
Flipping boats.
tactically attacking boats, so attacking the hull or attacking the rudder, and they think it's one orca has had like a traumatic experience with a boat and is now organizing their pod to attack fishing boats. Yeah.
Because they're such brilliant
They're like trying to
animals.
sink 'em.
They're, I
Yeah.
mean, they're basically like smarter than humans. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, they're absurdly brilliant. Are they killing people, or are they just trying to sink the boat?
Haven't killed anyone.
So they're not trying to like knock the people off the boat like Jaws and then eat them. They're just trying to disable the boat and sink it.
Well, no one's fallen in yet, so you don't know.
There was that
Christ.
late 70s, early 80s movie that had the pod of killer whales that would
Yeah, you're
attack
right.
people.
Yeah.
It's one of the scariest horror movies I've ever seen, and I cannot remember the name. Orca.
Orca.
Shockingly. And it's Orca. It is terrifying. And I
Yeah.
remember watching that as a kid
Yeah.
around the same time I watched Jaws. And so I never wanted to go to SeaWorld or any of that stuff. I was like,
Well,
those things.
in that period, Piranha came out. There were all those movies in the early 80s and late
God, that
70s.
movie
But
scared
the
the shit
orca,
out of me,
this
too.
man was on
Kayak?
an iceberg.
Oh.
And the orca pushed down one end, so he slid down
Like a
into it and he
seal.
just swallowed it.
Oh, really?
Shut up. It's like
It was
what they
crazy.
do to the seals. Now, I did see one thing on like one nature show or something where the orcas had fed and they were filled with, seals or baby seals or
Yeah.
whatever. And one baby seal like fell off the ice and the orca put it in its mouth and brought it back to its mom and gave it back to him.
Oh,
was
really?
shocking. Yeah, because they were already full. So they're like, I don't need to eat another seal.
Oh, well, that's nice.
Right?
I think they are creepy smart. What if they're about to
They're
take
super
over?
Smart, yeah.
And maybe that's why they keep saying Orcas Unite. I'm like, what does that mean? What's happening? So you're going to Africa Thursday. I don't feel terrible for you.
Yeah.
You're kind of an asshole because I would like to go to Africa on Thursday. But so you continue to drag Jessica around. You guys did Iceland as well, and Dublin or Ireland, where you like hiked and I don't know, played with horses and rainbows and shit like that.
I make her do that. I love cold and windy.
Yeah.
Neither of us are really beach people, but she likes, she lived in Thailand for 2 years in her late 20s, early 30s. And so for her, like Southeast Asia is where she's kind of drawn to, in Bali. She's a big yoga person. And I have not been to any of those areas. So we're kind of trying to get me, I've been in the Middle East, but I haven't been Southeast Asia really at all. So she's kind of gradually getting me over there while I take her on insufferable
Freezing
hiking trips.
cold.
But she does it.
Welcome to Iceland, honey. We're going to hike for 42 miles, and then we're going to sleep on top of a volcano where it's completely exposed.
And she's going to get mad when she sees this unless I say this, but it was her idea to go to Iceland the first time for me because the volcano was erupting in
2017. 14?
No, there was one in Fort, the one that shut down all the airports.
Yes.
Yeah, so that one was in early 2010s, but then the new one, Fergratis Fall, I'm butchering that, started erupting it was right over COVID. It was like March of 21, and we went because it was going off, and she was like, would you go for 3 days? And I'm like, sure, because it's only
it's not bad.
6 hour flight. So we went, landed, dropped our stuff off at the hotel, drove to the volcano. It's like a six mile out and back hike, and hiked to it, and you could get within 100 yards of it, and they had
So could you see like the lava? Not like Hawaii when you can't see the lava.
It was like erupting.
Shooting
Oh, that's
up.
so cool.
If you could see his pictures, I mean,
It's like the ash was hitting you because it turns from lava into the lava rock in the air,
Yeah.
and it's hitting you on the head as it's coming down. I mean, it was
pelting you, actually.
Are your pictures on the Facebook?
on the Facebook.
Okay, I'll go check it out.
On the Facebook, yes. So he and Jessica are very fortunate to have each other, and you both get to travel all the time,
Yeah.
and I love that. You recently also bought a place in Utah,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
So, all right, you're an attorney in Atlanta. How do you get to buy a place in Utah?
So
And work and play and do all those things.
So first, probably like y'all, I have a great law partners, so I have support that when I'm gone. Yeah, true. You're talking about yourself or her?
Yeah, both.
Okay.
We trade off.
Yes, both.
Obviously you've got to have that. I mean, if you're a solo practitioner, that would
gets
be very
tricky.
difficult. Yeah. So, when I'm physically gone, so I drove out in November with my animals. Jessica flew, so I did the solo road trip, which I tell everyone was like probably the best 3 days of my
Your
entire
life.
year of life, because I've got the dogs and the cats in the car, and my only job is to get from point A to point B and not kill them and not kill
And
myself.
listen to good music.
Listen to whatever I want. Nobody's talking to
Podcasts.
me. Oh, it's awesome. I lose cell service in parts of it. I mean, it's just, everyone was like, how are you going to do that? And I was like, I am so looking forward to this. And I did that in November, came back in February. So we were there about 3.5 months. Just planning ahead and having support from the law firm. So I knew I wasn't physically going to be there. If I had to be back, I would fly. And almost everything I learned, I took my laptop, I set up a station, an office. Jessica did the same. She's in sales. And I just got up at 5 a.m., just 7 here, worked. By 1, I was done. I'd go ski. So I skied probably 50 days out there.
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing.
It wasn't looking bad. I mean, I think
was
that's
not bad.
definitely something that COVID taught us.
Yeah.
Was that as lawyers, as long as you do have that office support or a partner, you can pretty much live and work anywhere you want.
Yeah.
I mean, like when I travel, I've not once put my out of office on because you're still answering emails. Your phone
everything's
works.
on our iPads now,
Yeah.
our iPhones. Now, from a personal injury standpoint, can you still do a lot via Zoom?
Yeah.
Okay, so for comp, same thing. I don't think.
It's really just trials.
Everything else
Yeah,
for us is
depositions
typically
and
via
things are all
Zoom,
via Zoom.
unless if they think our clients are lying and then they want to see them in person. But
Yeah. We have a couple of terms. We've actually fought some of those where they're demanding in person. And generally, it goes about, the judge is going to kind of ask why, but if we've had to motion that, generally they'll kind of defer to us if we don't want them in person, especially if it's a client who's older, may not feel comfortable.
Right. I mean, you definitely don't want to set your old and infirm clients or any sort of, more vulnerable clients health-wise up to catch something and die because you've got some 25-year-old brand new baby lawyer that wants to read everything from his depo thing. Yeah.
So when they show up with that darn outline. So fun fact on your Utah location, I believe you live down the street from the crazy lady that killed her husband, right?
How did you know?
Well, because you posted it on our thing. Yeah.
I did not know that while I was out there. And
did you meet her?
No.
Or him?
No. So did you do the backstory on it?
Oh, yeah, we did. This is the woman who wrote the book, a child's book on grieving, and she murdered her husband.
Allegedly. But she's your neighbor.
Definitely.
Or was your neighbor?
No, literally, that house that she murdered him over is like a mile from my house.
Is it a
drove
nice
by
house?
Every day. So it's weird because
Not worth
Midway,
a murder.
Not worth a death sentence.
Midway, well, it is. It's a huge property because Midway, the town I'm in, is Heber is the sister town, and then like Park City's right a couple miles down that way. And between Heber and Midway, you have to take this road to kind of get into Heber, and Heber's just got a little more stuff. And you pass it all the way there. And we passed it for 3 months, and it's this huge, it's not a monstrosity, but it's a huge house sitting in this like beautiful meadow. And on the right side of it, there's cattle and horses and like a horse farm. So it's just weird having this big house unfinished. It's only like 2/3 finished, but it had a for sale sign always. And I'm like, the fuck's house is this? Like no one's developing it. And real estate out there is crazy. So I just never understood why it was sitting there. And I guess she had bought it, and he didn't want to do it because he didn't want to put the capital into it. So she poisoned him, like put a fentanyl in his coffee or something, or his Moscow Mule.
Yeah.
But she had tried to kill his ass twice before.
I saw that.
And
he stayed.
And he's like,
stayed.
I don't know.
What an idiot.
I love that lady. She's
what
the
balls
best.
to write the fucking book about it.
Right. Especially after like changing, trying to do the will beneficiary or the life insurance beneficiary between his partners.
She needed the money to finish the house.
She's fucking crazy.
It'd be like diddling a kid and then writing a book about
how to diddle a kid. Yeah,
well,
that would be
how to not diddle a kid.
That would be really weird.
Note to self.
Yeah, that would be really bad. So I can't believe you were neighbors with her. Also not shocking. You've got some. You can have some colorful characters around you. I've met some of them. I think actually the first time you and I hung out one time was at our work comp seminar that we have.
Oh yeah.
And we rented that big huge house.
Yes.
With a stable underneath it, the horse stables.
Strange
and
house.
you passed out in the stables and slept down there.
Yeah.
But it was, we had a huge, like, Colombian drug lord type house at St. Simon's. This house had to have been $20 million. I mean, like, they had horse stables in the basement.
What year was that? Because I came by one year when I was
17.
Harassed.
It's on the year I went. So
Yeah, 2017.
Yes, I was there. That was the year that the weird hot tub thing happened. The guy that I worked with got in the hot tub in his boxers.
Ew, God, that guy was
And you were
awful.
like, get out of the
I was
hot
like,
tub?
get out of the hot tub right now. I'll kill
just
you.
boxers and not a swimsuit?
No, he also, he was fucking
listening?
horrendous. No. I was just trying to remember one of my older male lawyers, because he walked in. I was like, dude, you should probably go. I was not liking his energy. And Buckaloo actually said to me, he was like, Sarah, that wasn't very polite at all. Maybe you should say you're sorry. I was like, you know what? You're probably right. And I was like, hi, good sir. So nice to meet you. Welcome to my home. Who do you know here and stuff? And he goes, I'm extraordinarily attracted to you. And I go, see,
What?
and I just turned to Buckaloo and I go, see, this is the fucking type of shit I'm talking about. It's like, now you can get out of my house. But he didn't. Instead, he fled to the hot tub with his heat-seeking missiles on poor Rebecca. Rebecca was like, get out. I had to rescue you.
Yeah, I think you like put me in a bear. I didn't even really know you, and she had me in a bear hug, and she was like, "No one touch her."
And moved her over to the other side. I'm like, dude, I'll kill you. Don't go near my friend.
But that was so great. It had a slide. I loved that.
Yeah. That it was beautiful. But that I think is where I met you, and you slept in the stables downstairs. It was like, hey, you just like curled up all comfy. It was amazing. So you are, however, besides being super fun and lovely and well-traveled and well-spoken and a very kind person, you also are a very good lawyer. So I was hoping that maybe because you specialize specifically in personal injury, you don't do workers' comp or anything like that. So I would love for you to give our listeners some tips on, I mean, I've done some top, 3 or 5 things to do if you're in an accident, but we all have different ideas. So I would like your top 3 what to do if in an accident and your top 3 not to do if you're in an accident. So what you got for us?
So I'd say top 3 not to do, and this is a generalization, but I think top 3 not to do is to hire a lawyer that that's not vetted. I think the best course is just like a doctor. I mean, I wouldn't get a doctor just by looking on lines. I like asking around, and I'd want someone to say, hey, I know this person, I trust them.
That's great advice.
Because there's a lot of shitty lawyers out there.
Terrible lawyers.
That are going to take advantage of you.
them.
Or just not care, because that's probably the biggest issue, I think, with clients that they have is, lack of communication, and that's what we get a bad rap for. The second one would probably be to, no matter what lawyer you get, do independent research about where you're treating. So if you don't, for example, if you don't have an orthopedic and they recommend an orthopedic, look them up, make sure that you
they don't have 1 star and there's shows multiple headlines of lawsuits for med mal cases against them. Yeah, don't select that doctor.
Because there are questionable providers as well.
There are.
And sometimes lawyers and providers have
relationships.
Yes, and sometimes it's not to the benefit of a client.
Correct.
The third one, I don't know if I'm doing to-dos or not to-dos. I guess they kind of blend.
Yeah.
Not to do. Don't ever represent yourself. I mean, we see.
Dear God, no.
Yes, and that seems so basic and elementary, but we see a lot of people that come to us who potentially had a really good claim, and I don't just mean like a monetary, just they were actually injured. They went to the ER, and then they tried to do things themselves and fell into a lot of the traps that insurance companies want you to fall into, as in, a gap in care. They define like not going to a provider for 2 or 3 weeks. They're going to hammer you with that. Say you must not have been injured, and then when you did go back, you were faking it so that you could work up a bill. You know? But those things, if you're not represented, you're just not going to know. And then they come and then they say, hey, I'm throwing up my hands. I got an accident 4 months ago. Can you help me? And I'll look at it and I'm like, well, shit. I don't know that I can. I would
have been able to help you, but now you fucked your case up really badly.
And I feel terrible. And then they're usually like, what? They just can't believe it. But you find out they've probably talked to a lawyer and they just decided, I think I could
sign.
I could probably pocket more money if I do it myself. Yeah. So
it always results in a lot less money.
Yeah. And even if they do it themselves and they get a resolution, like, a $25,000 policy tendered, they don't know how to deal with like a reimbursement of a health insurance lien,
like ERISA liens.
Yeah,
and things
so
of
they
that
can get
nature.
sued on the back end. That would cost them more money that they actually pocketed. It's a lot of shit. I tell people the biggest benefit of hiring a lawyer, especially what we do, is not that I can promise a check. I can't ever promise what it might not even be that much money.
We have a lot of lawyers in our work that do promise
They do
checks.
that, which is
absolute
fucking bullshit.
Big ones that they can take pictures.
Yeah. But do you? I'm not hating on you.
Yeah.
Are you doing it with the big checks
I
out of
do not
your
have a
name,
big
your
check,
smiles?
no.
We need to get some of
I do
those.
need
I
some.
think just lay them all around.
Steve does have a money gun in his office, but I don't know where it came from. I'm not allowed him to use it yet.
Not in the office. I mean, at specific dance institutions around Atlanta, you can use them, but other than that, no.
Yes. But I think a lot of the pitfalls come with just not having someone that's looking out for you.
And what do you think about, something that we run into a lot is when an attorney will have a lien relationship with a doctor and the injured party has health insurance and they're like, no. Go ahead and treat on this lien with this provider. It's absurd. It ends up screwing the client.
It is like theft to me. I mean, there's some circumstances where they might have Medicaid and you just can't, it's really hard to find a
providers.
specialist
It's
with Medicaid.
difficult, yes.
Or if they live in an area that's just not many providers that will take whatever coverage they have. So sometimes a lien is necessary because it's just going to get them better care. But that it should be like you're absurdly remote.
Right.
Or
if you have no health insurance. If you have no health insurance or something, then it puts you on equal footing. It can help you. But we've had that happen so many times, or where somebody has terminated a previous counsel and they show up and I'm like, well, what is it? Well, didn't you have health insurance? And they're like, well, yeah, I did, but my attorney told me to treat on a lien, that it would be better. I'm like, Jesus Christ.
Oh, it's
man.
awful. Because then there is nothing left, right?
No.
Like, because the reason you're getting policy limits typically is because the medical bills are at or close to policy limits. And so.
And
it's done.
And most claimants don't, clients don't know that, like the same, they're incredulous. Like you just ask them, why didn't you use health insurance? They're like, I didn't know that was an option.
Right.
Because they don't educate them because they don't want them to know so that they can send them to their doctor buddy. So I'm not hating on doctors. Most of them are good doctors.
Love our doctors, but
it's just,
yes.
It's not necessarily geared to benefit the client.
Correct.
In the end.
Correct. Absolutely. Those are some pretty good recommendations for things to do and not to do. I, at one point in time, said, if it is your fault, maybe take off running at a fast clip. That was obviously a joke.
It was a joke, yeah. Not real advice.
No, I mean,
podcast advice.
Podcast advice. Don't actually do that, especially if you're drinking.
Yeah.
Don't do that. Maybe not be the one to call the cops, but don't take off running.
Yeah.
So not only brilliant lawyer, world traveler, you have a soft spot in your heart for animals.
I do.
You do. Like,
I do.
you have tattoos of some of your animals on you.
I have my cat on my arm. Dewberry, who he just passed in February, but I got it before he died, so people would see it and they're like, "Oh," I was like, "No, he's still alive."
Like, no, he's still here.
I just love him.
I just love him so much.
Yeah.
He really is one of the great loves of your life. Prior to you being with Jessica, I would say that Dewberry was your partner.
Yeah.
Your other
we did
half.
everything. He went to Utah with me. He actually passed while we were out there, he and my dog Fancy, she passed the year before. I mean, they were both older, but she was kind of the impetus for me to get involved with Lifeline Animal Project, because I got her from DeKalb County, and DeKalb County I got her in 2010. DeKalb back then had a county run. It's basically a pound, like when you think of a pound, and it was rough.
Yeah, that's when they would euthanize. Yeah,
they had a front room of like 20 dogs, and the back room they didn't really let you go back there because those were
the soon to be.
Yeah, and not likely to be adopted, so they put the adoptable.
Oh my!
I mean, they were doing the best they could.
Yeah,
but it was cinder blocks, no windows, and so I went with my mom when I was like 29 because my dog had just passed, the one before that, Hoya. And so we went. My mom was trying to cheer me up, like, "We'll just go look." And I went, and I was like, "Holy shit! I cannot leave here without a dog."
Yeah, you're like, I've got to leave with all of the dogs.
I want to take
every
them
one
all.
of them in the back. I want 500 of them.
And I took Fancy home, and she, as soon as I got home, I was not ready to take a dog home. Like I owned a bar back then. I was I was just not mature. And as soon as I got there, she chased Dewberry under my house, walked in the house, took a shit, and then ran away.
She's like, "You're welcome."
Yeah,
Like, thank you for adopting me.
Yeah, you're like, what did I just sign up for? But you guys actually do huge amounts of work with Lifeline.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about that.
So we, for every case we settle, we pay for an adoption of, and usually dogs or cats are there, but we'll donate and pay for the adoption fee. So we've been doing it for about 2 years. So we got to the point where we just kind of have estimated, and it's usually about 25 cases a month we settle. So we pay for 25 a month. We just do it on like just annually now. Yeah. And we love them. Like they are so well run. They do DeKalb, Fulton, and Gwinnett now. No kill. Like the shelters are really nice. Like I was shocked how nice the shelters are. So if you go to adopt,
They are really nice.
Really
I got
nice.
Max, that little bastard, the little bite-ass dog.
from Lifeline?
From
really?
Lifeline. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, it was just such an opposite experience that I had seen in DeKalb before. So I just came to Steve one day and we were like, why don't we do something? Like, how can we get involved? Obviously it's marketing too. I mean, we were thinking of what is something that actually would be meaningful and not seem like bullshit, because we actually, it's personal to us.
Yeah.
And that was just kind of the logical choice, and we reached out.
I think it's a brilliant idea.
no.
I mean, every time I see it, I'm like, I need to talk to Rebecca about doing this. I think we
I
should do
know.
this too. And then I forget. Now you're here again. And I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, Rebecca, we need to do this too.
Well, and we need, I don't know if it's aired on the podcast yet, but we do a list of 100 things to do every summer with the kids.
Oh, really?
So our golden retriever died in February as well. And so we're animal free. And so they want a puppy so badly.
Oh, really?
So maybe I'll take them there.
I've advised her not to get a puppy. I've advised her to get her like a 5 to 7 year old lab. Maybe when they're like 14, 15 and they can help you take care of it.
My twins will be in college by then. They want a dog so bad. I mean, granted, we had a wonderful dog, so it's...
Sully was baby, big.
But every time I see that y'all are having an event, I'm like, should we go?
Yeah, I mean, just go. You could. The good thing about Lifeline is it's like I said, the opposite of what I experienced in DeKalb way back when. So if you go and you leave, you don't feel that bad. I mean, you can be rational about it, and they're not trying to, shove a dog on you if you're not ready for it, because it's a good facility. So you go and it's like all sunny and they're
it is
Maybe I'll
really
just
lovely.
take-
Yeah.
So you feel okay.
We got our cat from there too. I mean,
Good.
yeah.
Charlotte.
Ooh,
Well, maybe
she's
I'll
real
take the
bitchy.
kiddos. That could be a fun summer
Yeah.
activity. We won't tell Ryan. But
Dear
I'll
God,
take the
don't
kids.
tell,
Wait till you
don't
bring it
tell her.
home.
Yeah, just bring the dog. Yeah, be like, no take back. Sorry.
Yeah.
We talked about it. What are you talking
I
about?
kept it.
But I
It was free. Armand paid for it. It's not a big deal.
It's fine. Armand
Blame
paid
me.
for it. He's sponsored.
Totally fine.
But no, I just think that is such an amazing, worthy cause, and you guys do such a great job, and so thankful. The animals and the Metro Atlanta area are very thankful for you.
No,
Yeah.
we've been that's probably been the most fulfilling thing that I've done by it being an owner of a firm. You have the stresses you guys have, and I love helping clients, love helping people, but a lot of times it's not very rewarding aside from the monetary.
It's exhausting.
Right.
Yeah,
Very
Fucking
exhausting.
exhausting.
Yeah,
Shit.
it's exhausting.
It's been a week.
Yeah.
It's only
It's been a week. It's
So
Tuesday.
tired.
We're like,
So tired.
It has been a rough week already. But we just want to thank you so much for coming on
course.
today. It was so lovely to have you, and I hope
Thank
you
you,
have
guys.
a great time in Africa.
I'm ready to go.
I can imagine. Don't be surprised if we, show up and you see us over a little bush.
Feel free. Yeah, more the merrier.
I'll be like, I don't know. It's really fucking hot in Atlanta. I only made it
That was
3
so hot.
days, and I decided to join poor Jessica and Armand on their trip.
Do you have any good trips planned?
We're doing a dude ranch
Where?
in the Canadian Rockies.
Oh shit.
So we leave July 27th. Just Adeline and I were doing Glacier National Park for 3 days.
So cool.
I'm so excited. And then a week of riding horses and whitewater rafting and archery and target shooting and I don't know, cowboy stuff.
Cool.
I know. I'm so excited. I love horses. I used to jump when I was
Oh, that's
little.
right. I knew
So
you would. Yeah.
yeah. So I'm like, yes. Anyway, she's very excited. But that's our next trip. And I'm here till then. Praise Jesus.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
How about you?
We go to northern Wisconsin, so when this airs, we'll be
You're
at the
from there,
lake. No, Ryan's family's
Oh,
from
okay.
there. So I'll be fishing and drinking beer.
It's
Okay.
stunning. Have you ever
It's so
been to
beautiful.
Wisconsin?
No,
I
but
haven't.
everyone I know, my old neighbor, his wife is from Minnesota, but they go up there to Minnesota and Wisconsin, and I'm always jealous of the photos. In the summertime, they
It's
go
beautiful,
and fish
yeah.
on the lake.
And it's so far north that it stays sunlight until we're on the dock till 9:30, and it's
oh,
still
that's nice.
sunny.
That's
so.
the way it was in Maine. And then it
So nice.
the sun rises at 4 a.m.
Yeah, I'm normally on
get
the
it
dock
away.
drinking a little coffee because it's back an hour. So I wake up here at 5:30, so they're at 4:30.
Yeah.
Go hang out alone for a little bit.
So those are our trips, and then school starts again.
Oh, yeah.
Woof. Yeah. My school starts 2 weeks after her school. When does your school start this year?
My public school kids start August 1st and private
The
school
1st, yeah.
mid-August.
Yeah.
So that'll be fun.
Woof.
New
Anyway, coming down the
outgoing money.
pike quick. Yeah, it's awful. But thank you so much
Yeah, of
for
course.
joining
No, thank
us.
you guys.
Thank you.
And you all listen to our podcast wherever you get our podcast. You can catch it on Apple, Spotify, and all the things. So
And try out some of Armand's delicious beers, and I will
Yeah.
send you the one that we
Please
really
do.
liked, the IPA one from last
I
summer.
like this Berliner Weiss. Is that what
Yeah.
it is?
Cheers.
Shit's
Yeah.
delicious.
Woo.
Anyway, thanks for joining.
Thank you guys.